Thank you everyone for your attendance this morning. I'm Kathleen Daniel, the Director of Outreach here at Brooklyn Borough Hall, and I am also here as a very proud parent of children in Brooklyn schools. And this is a very important time in our nation when we are looking at safety and looking at gun violence, unfortunately through the lens of tragedy and through the lens of our children. And so without further ado, I'll introduce Mr. Eric L. Adams, the Brooklyn Borough President.
All right. Thank you. And I'm going to take a pause because it's about our children. So I know we have a speaker here that has Bed-Stuy. So why don't you come and do your thing?
So your name and your grade, Giovanni.
Hello, my name is Giovanni, and I'm 12 years old, and I attend Bed-Stuy New Beginnings Charter School. We are asking that charter schools receive the same funding as other public and private schools, specifically for the safety agents. Did you know that there were 749,000 violent acts committed before any school shootings? Charter and some private schools are not getting the funds they need in order to safely secure their students. With the correct funding, safety agents could have a positive impact on schools and the children, making it safe and how they feel. School safety agents also make a strong presence for troublemakers who will dare to approach a school. Not having safety agents on guard is a problem because we need to provide a way to protect our children, and if we don't act, the death toll is only going to rise by a week or two. Think about what is happening across our nation. Imagine another Texas shooting. Imagine another Parkland, Florida shooting. I just want to take a moment to share my utmost satisfaction with the students of Parkland, Florida and Texas, because they feel it is their right to stand up against elected officials, to hear their voice. New York as a whole has a chance to prevent any more shootings or acts of violence against our children by adding safety agents until, rest assured, every child in NYC and America feels safe and secure in their school. Again, we are asking that charter schools receive the same funding as public and private schools, specifically for their safety agents.
Thank you. Thank you. Good job. Good job. Really want to thank both our Councilman Reynoso and Councilman Robert Cornegy for just the insight and the foresight to see how this issue has become so impactful for our children. And when you look at the numbers that state that more people have been killed at schools this year than have been killed while deployed as members of our military, this is America, not Afghanistan. Our children should be learning math, not massacre. They should not be concerned about who's walking through the door and how traumatizing this is to know that school shootings have become an epidemic in our country. And what is it going to take before we wake up and hear that these gunshots are ripping through the fabric of our young people? And even when the bullet hits the body of the persons who they are intended to hit, it doesn't stop traveling emotionally. It rips apart the emotional trauma of the children who are part of this. Every time they read, every time they hear, every time they find out another school shooting, they realize that it is a school and it equated to what's happening to them. And so this young man is wearing a t-shirt that says Bed-Stuy, do or die. In philosophy, that's what we're saying Bed-Stuy, do and live. We want these children to live, and we want them to live in a very real way. Living is not only where they are in their physical state, but where they are in their emotional state. Just as military personnel goes through PTSD when someone is killed, these children are going through PTSD. Post-traumatic syndrome is real in our schools every day and is impactful. That's why all of these schools are here. charter school, private school, parochial schools are all coming to state that security and safety must be part of the environment. It doesn't matter how large the school is or how small the school is. And we want to fix the current legislation to state if it's a two-person school with 2 children are there, or if it's 300 or 400 or 1,000, all of our children must be safe. A mother doesn't state that since I put my child in a synagogue or in a yeshiva or inside a Catholic school or a charter school, I'm not concerned about the safety of my school. And these sick minds of people who are using guns every day don't stop and say, well, we're not going to go here because there's only 300 children in this school or there's only 25 children in this school. No. Our tax dollars should protect all of our children. And that's the call that we're doing and we're calling for today. And so I want to thank my council colleagues as we look over this piece of legislation and ensure that this Intro 70 will provide security for support for 75,000 children. That's a real number. Those are our babies, those are our scholars. This is a real piece of legislation that's going to deal with current time. The law did not cover these non-public schools with less than 300 students. That's unimaginable. If you have less than 300 students, you're saying that your life is not as important as in a school where you have 300 plus students. That is unimaginable, and that is not something that we should be a part of, and we should be looking forward to move forward. So this intro is crucial. And Councilman Kornegay and the other, his council delegation is moving this forward, and both these councilpersons, Reynoso and Kornegay, have continuously they have been the voice of the voiceless and those who have been discounted in so many ways. And so that's why we're here with these families, these participants, these children who are leading this call to say enough of the senseless violence, enough of the countless number of people who are losing their lives, enough of the energy that states, well, it's just another school shooting. We cannot become desensitized to someone coming into a school, discharging a weapon, killing children. We cannot be desensitized. People was focusing more on who won the NBA series instead of looking that children were shot and killed. We cannot become desensitized. It has become so normalized that it's just another school shooting. Oh, only 5 were shot this time. Only 7 was shot this time. No. One child shot in a school cannot be accepted. That's what we're saying. And we have to be heard. We have to be heard.
Thank you, Borough President. And next we have City Council Member Robert Cornegy, Jr.
So, good morning. I'm Councilmember Robert Cornegy, and I have a few distinctions that make it important for me to be here. Number one, I'm the council member who represents Bed-Stuy New Beginnings. Number two, I'm the proud author of Avante's Law, which put door alarms on schools, almost 100% of the schools in the city. If there would have been a distinction made in that legislation against particular schools, I would never have authored it, and I'd have fought hard. So it's my idea that every student in the city of New York should have equal protections against violence, against intruders, and in the case of Avante's Law, against elopement. So we know how important it is. And then my third most important distinction is I'm the proud father of 6 children. And every morning when I wake up, I prepare my kids for the day and take them to school, because that's my job. That's how me and my wife worked it out. I do the mornings. When I leave them, I do so with the expectation at the end of the day, I will once again be able to wrap them in a warm embrace and wake up the next day to do it all over again. Unfortunately, too many parents across the country have had that daily cycle broken by school shootings. And tragically, here in New York City, there continue to be children who go to schools without the protection of security guards. That is why today I'm incredibly proud to stand with my borough president and colleagues in the council to demand that the council pass Intro 70 to ensure the small parochial and charter schools who are currently forced to choose between student safety and classroom resources no longer have to do so. And to ensure that the parents of the roughly 75,000 New York City school children who attend these schools can have peace of mind that at the end of the day, their babies have been afforded every level of security to ensure they return home at the end of the day. So I'm proud to be here. I'm proud that we are forward-thinking enough to re-look at legislation even after it's been introduced and make the tweaks necessary that every student is covered. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. I always have to do this after the Council Member Kornegay speaks. And next we have Council Member Antonio Reynoso.
So I want to thank my colleague, Robert Cornegy Jr., who's been at the forefront of a lot of these issues and always standing strong. I also want to thank our Borough President, Eric Adams, for continuing to champion issues that are important to all Brooklynites all over the entire county. I'm also a new father, a 5-month-old child. I'm the morning dad as well, so I have to take him to the babysitter every single morning. And even crossing the street, I look twice. I make sure there are no cars. The cars are completely stopped before I even consider crossing the street. My child's safety is paramount. And a shooter does not discriminate. As a legislator, I can't discriminate either. I have to make sure that I play fairly and equitably throughout the entire city of New York. This is not a charter school versus traditional public school conversation. This is about all kids conversation, all of our children conversation. And I want to make sure that I lend my voice to that. What's very important to me in this is that if a shooting were to happen, God forbid, here in the city of New York, there's not one elected official that won't stand or won't come to a funeral or mourn the life of a child, whether he's in a charter school or a public school. There will be no difference. So there should be no difference in ensuring that they're safe by providing these people, these safety agents, these children, these safety agents, these students, these safety agents. And lastly, I would say is, for a long time, we as elected officials have fought for charter schools to have standalone sites, that they pay their fair share, that they pay their rent, that they don't come to our schools and co-locate. Well, these schools did that. And because of it, now we're saying that they're going to suffer. I disagree. You did the right thing. You have your own building. You're providing education. We asked you to do that. You stepped up. You did that. Now I'm going to step up and make sure that you get your safety agents. Thank you.
And now we have James Merriman, the CEO of the New York City Charter Center.
Hi, good morning. I first want to thank the Borough President, thank you, and the council members for standing with all the kids of New York City on this issue. Sometimes when we do a press conference, we spend a lot of time thinking about what we're going to say, and I'll be honest. You know, how can we explain complex things? I didn't spend a minute thinking about what I was going to say today. I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about equal funding for school safety for all kids. I don't even know why we're here discussing why all schools don't get equal funding. And it's as simple as that. There are no countervailing arguments. There are no complexities and other sides. It's time for the council to get this bill done. Frankly, it should be done this afternoon. And people of goodwill, I think, and again, the council members here, I'm sure we're going to get it done. I'll say this, just to be clear, though. You know, right now, charter school leaders are doing the right thing. They are spending enormous resources to make sure in their standalone buildings that they are safe. And they'll do that whether funding comes or not. Now, they're going to have to take it from funding that should go into the classroom instead of for safety agents, but they will keep their kids safe. I don't want anyone to think that right now charter schools aren't safe, aren't locked down, and aren't prepared. They are. but it's time for them to be able to take that money, put it back in the classroom, and get the money, public funding, along with every other school in this city. And also, I completely agree that small schools, charter, yeshiva, private, whatever, equally deserve that funding. So let's get this done.
We have Debbie Almontazer from the, thank you, sir, from the Muslim Community Network.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Debbie Almond-Tasser, and I'm the board president of the Muslim Community Network, a nonprofit organization here in New York City that provides after-school programming, both in public schools as well as Islamic schools. And I have to tell you, when our staff came back and told us that they did not feel safe in some of the Islamic schools because there weren't trained and proper safety agents, that became a very big concern for us, where they felt very comfortable working in public schools that were fully equipped with safety agents. So this became a priority for us as an organization, where we organized and mobilized the 17 Islamic schools through the Islamic School Association of New York, where we helped them understand what Intro 70 was and actually introduced them to this and made them a part of the coalition that actually brought Intro 70 into reality. That reality, my sisters and brothers, however, became a nightmare because it was just a reality for schools that had the 300 threshold, where the 17 schools that we have within the Islamic School Association, there are only 3 schools that qualify for that. That made my community become very outraged to know that something that they fought very hard for, only 3 schools were able to qualify for this. When this bill came about, Intro 70 came about, it came with great opposition because it was seen as a battle of taking money from public schools for private schools. In addition to that, it also received a great deal of opposition because of the fact that safety agents are all under the New York Police Department, where members of my community, the Islamic community, felt that that was also something that they were nervous about, opening the doors to the NYPD. So through our advocacy as an organization, we were able to get Intro 70 to actually hire outside security agents that were going to be trained via 32BJ and a number of other organizations to make it something that people can all be able to feel comfortable. Here we are now in 2018, after knowing since January up until today, there have been 19 school shootings across the United States. 19. How many more schools do we need to see this happen for us not to take this issue seriously and make sure that every child and every educational institution, whether they have 10 students or 300 students, need to be safe and secure in a school premises that is offering them an education. So I am proud as the board president of the Muslim Community Network to stand with the borough president and all of the city council members that are pushing this forward to make sure that each and every child in New York City has and is afforded an equal education while feeling safe and secure in their school institution. Thank you so much.
We have two more speakers, and thank you for your patience. I'd like to introduce Rajesh Singh from the United States.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rajesh, and I'm an operations manager with United Sikhs. We are based out in Queens and New York. As a global human rights advocate, United Sikhs stands with the Brooklyn Borough President Eric L in demanding equal security guard funding for every school across all 5 boroughs that claims, that my national director, Jitendra Singh, who's based in New York. Through our endeavors to feel safe in our schools and in our city, through our network of disaster and emergency relief programs affiliated with the United Nations, organization has always worked within the region and where the tragic shooting took place. Our hearts and prayers goes with the victims and the families, and we thank Borough President Adams, Council Members Reynoso and Kornegay, and our local community and faith leaders members in bringing up this particular issue and passage of legislative which will definitely bring a major change across the schools. Thank you.
And yes, I'm biased as a mother of two. Our last speaker, because mother knows best, is a parent, and we thank her for braving the subway to come here from Queens, from Growing Up Green.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Erin Acosta. I am a parent at Growing Up Green Charter School, and I'm very grateful to the Brooklyn Borough President for standing up here today with us. I had to come all the way from Queens. So in the corner of Queens that I live in, we have 5 charter schools that all are in private space, and we have families from those schools here today. Along with Growing Up Green, there's Our World Neighborhood Charter School, Academy of the City Charter School, we have Voice Charter School, and Renaissance Charter School. Of course, our children are safe in our buildings, but the cost for that safety is coming out of what should be paying for books and programming for our children in the classroom. So all we're asking the City Council to do is to include the charter school students in Intro 70 so that the learning that's going on in the classroom can keep happening and our children are safe in the building while they are learning. They're all New Yorkers, right? All these kids back here, they're all our children. Every single one of them. I have 2 kids. My daughter goes to Growing Up Green Charter School. My son is now in a district high school. Yet my son, in the formula, gets more money per pupil and his security is covered, whereas my daughter, it's not. So I really thank, I'm gonna get their names correct, Council Members Kornegay and Reynoso for being here today and for supporting this bill, and I implore their colleagues in the City Council to do the same. This is a really easy lift. We love all our children. We want them all safe. They should all be covered by this bill and security. It's, I think, a very easy thing. I think everyone can get behind it. Thank you very much.
We just want to thank everyone for coming out today. We want to give a special round of applause for all of our scholars from Brooklyn and Queens and all of the boroughs. Today, this is about you. This is all about you. And I want to especially thank the scholars that are our rogue reporters. They were here with their teachers, and I'm going to call you out, young ladies, right there. Wave and wave on the stairs here. They are covering the story. And in closing, I want to thank the New York City Charter Center for all of their work on this. Our colleagues in clergy, Abe Friedman, Gil Monrose, and of course, our council members, Antonio Reynoso, Council Member Robert Cornegy Jr., and the Brooklyn Borough President for taking the lead. He's no longer a cop on the beat, but he cares about our safety in schools and on the streets, and we thank you for taking the lead. Finally, this intro is very important because once upon a time, the one place we didn't worry about our kids was in school. We need this amendment to pass because our children are watching. Thank you.
answer any questions if you have at this time. The council persons have just departed. Yes. You said dealing with, I didn't get the first part of it. And that is one thing we are looking at, if need be, to communicate with our state elected officials as well. But right now, we think this intro could be passed in the city council. I think they get it. We have two great council persons that's going to push it forward, and we're going to leave it up to them to make it happen. If not, we're going to look towards the state as well. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good question. I think that school safety is a moving target, and we should not be fixed on any one set of rules. We should look at whatever it takes to keep our children safe. If we need to use metal detectors in certain schools, I think we should use them. If we need to have police personnel, special attention at the perimeter of the school, we should do that as well. I think the first starting point is allocating the resources for school safety officers who can communicate directly with police personnel if need be, and know how to deploy students and move them to safe areas if there is a shooting, and to go through drills. Unfortunately, just as we do fire drills, we need to start doing safety drills as well. And I think that that's the combination that we need at this time. Okay? Must do a better job. We've been here before. Those of us who have policed during the crack era realize that you cannot allow this to continue to mushroom the way it is doing. The location on Myrtle and Broadway, you have a series of stores there that have made the decision that they're going to circumvent justice and the laws by allowing people to either sell on the street or do other ways of distributing K2. You have to do more. We cannot allow 25, 30 people to overdose on K2 and not have an immediate police response. We're not doing a good enough job, and we're going to reach out to the police department and say we must do more in those areas where we're seeing to be ground zero for Brooklyn, Myrtle Avenue and Broadway. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.